This week on the show, we have game dev and gourmet meme maker, ParametricAvocado. And if you're enjoying the show and want to help support it, make sure to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Kojima Freak.
I am out of mental fortitude right now.
Yeah, that stream definitely drained you. we had to like recover for a couple hours. We're like, all right, we got to record a few hours, at least get some rest between that. Just kind of shake it off.
Dude, it was like non-stop meltdown.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency. I realized that, like, this is an industry that you've got to make money to survive in this industry. You have to be commercial. That's how it works. That's how companies stay in business. That's how games keep getting made. It's reality. You have to balance those things. But at the same, like, I know that, and I've known that, but I've never felt it so viscerally until this, where it's like, yeah, this is 100% a product, 0% art.
I don't think that's fair on Ito. I don't think.
Okay, 10%.
Yeah,
art.
it is. That does really, like, with their entry, I won't lie, it does come off a bit disingenuous to them. Who knows, though? They could very much be like, I just want a fucking paycheck. But at the very least, like, as it's presented, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, this is just a cash grab for Akira. Yeah,
I mean, there's multiple aspects to all of this. We have we had the Silent Hill 2 remake. We have, what were the other things announced today?
Silent Hill F.
F in the chat.
Silent Hill Ascension.
Sorry.
The F series.
Silent Hill 2, the movie.
Oh, yeah, the movie was announced, yeah.
Skateboards, a DVD skin.
Merchandising, where the real money from the game is made.
I was seriously let down that there was no skin for Fortnite, really.
I would love to be Pyramid Head in Fortnite. Doing the default dance.
It's just, it's a nice glimpse at where Metal Gear is going to be in a year or two.
It's also a nice glimpse at what me and Apache are going to be doing in a year or two, which is stay on Discord while he speedruns the Silent Hill 2 remake.
That's going to be amazing.
I can honestly see it happening. If that, like, oh man, as soon as they said, like, over the shoulder, like, they've looked at that RE2 remake and thought, yeah, we could probably do that.
Well, I hope you have, like, a chest for all the money that comes from Patreon, which, by the way, I am very sorry, guys, but I have not been able to subscribe to your Patreon so far.
What? No, why are you... What?
No, because sorry, seriously. I've been listening to your podcast basically ever since it started, and it was great company during the 2020s. And I've been thinking of supporting you, but the problem is that we have such high taxes for purchases that happen outside the country with credit cards and shit in here that it's really not a convenient way of supporting.
Yeah.
You do not have to make any excuses.
You're talking about in Argentina? They have that?
Yeah. Though I mean, I could just simply do it. I think I can totally do it.
You're supporting us by being on this show. How about that?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, we were all just like blown away by the video you made. And we're like, who is this? This is incredible. Like, how did they pull this off? And then I look over in the chat one day and you're just like, hi.
And that's, we had a couple exchanges, on Twitter before, just like on unrelated stuff. I think we were talking about like brain structure and like how Jacob had gone in and like done like the ultimate like ASMR like little intro for his album, but how to pull off some sound effects in succession. But and then you're over here just slanging these meme videos. It's like, holy shit, I didn't know you were doing this over there.
Yeah, Really, thank you, because it's been overwhelming, really. So yeah, I've always loved to do these kinds of things, but it's pretty time demanding, and sometimes I just don't feel in the right headspace, so I don't put out anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also not been too public until now, so it's sometimes it feels like Twitter is just shouting in a void, because nobody follows and nobody cares. Suddenly, I'm just posting bullshit in Twitter, and people react and people have opinions, and it's like, okay, somebody cares.
You've been posting like bullshit for a while, but it was never like recently. You just started going on the line of like getting into the Metal Gear assets, and I don't even know if it's the engine, but getting into the Metal Gear assets and doing the fucking the lives day walk. I don't know how to pronounce it, but and then on top of that, remixing the Lives Z theme. Like,
yeah, that mashup was
so
top
many.
tier. I mean, you know, you had that horn line right in there, matched up perfect.
It looks so authentic. It's shocking how authentic it is.
It tricked me out too, because I had like just woken up. I remember I'd woken up early that morning, and it was like 5 a.m. and I kind of just like, you know, rolled over and opened up Twitter and was like, what the hell is this video? And then it kept going and kept going. I was like, okay, it just kept, you know, getting better and better and better. And then I remember posting in the Discord, like, man, y'all seen this yet? And then it was one of those things too. This is like that a phenomenon with memes, like when you're in the cycle of the meme yet, where you don't know what the hell it is, but you've seen it be referenced a couple of times, and you don't know how to Google it because you don't know. So you're like, okay, funny walk, and then you're in Monty Python world, and you're like, okay, no, funny walk, Metal Gear, and there's nothing there's nothing there yet. So yeah, I was asking people, I was like, does anybody know what the fuck this is referencing? And then our buddy Adam Online actually knew that it was from the Dr. Livesy thing and sent me the original thing. And I was like, okay, suddenly this is starting to make sense why this is taking off. Because I'd seen a couple other iterations of it.
Apparently, the original like actual movie that Livesy was in is like you can't watch it in America. Like Eastern Europe copyright stroke it against the West. Yeah, so you can watch like the actual meme, but the movie that it's like they took the clips from, you can't like. I don't know if it was recent. So I don't know if it's a result of like, you know, recent events in Ukraine, but I thought it was kind of ironic.
I know that you are, you know, you work professionally in VFX and this stuff, but so this is possibly kind of a dumb question, but how in the world did you get it to look that authentic?
So basically as a technical artist in video games, I've always been having taking a look at how things work. Like, I remember the first time I saw normal mapping in video games, my mind was completely blown. It's like, how can you make stuff look so good without actually getting the geometry to be there, right? Mm-hmm. I recall I was playing like Half-Life 2, and there was some sort of very bright spotlight in a catwalk, and there was one of those antlions, and I just killed it, and it landed right below the spotlight, and the spotlight really made it very clear that there was a lot of detail in that surface that was not being contained in the polygons. And it blew my head open. It was like, whoa, we can actually do these kinds of things. And I started bashing it with the crowbar to make the ragdoll change positions. And it was like, okay, wow, we are definitely in a different era from what was coming from before, basically. And I started investigating it. Yeah. So that.
Well, real quick for anybody who doesn't understand what normal mapping is, could you give sort of like a short definition?
So light reacts to a surface depending on the direction that surface is facing. But you can use normal maps to create details in that surface that change the direction of it. And that way you can create effects like, say, rocks or maybe bricks or tiny details like pores in the skin and all that. And it will basically make it appear as if the surface is not completely flat, but it has some detail to it. And that's why it was called bump mapping at the time. And so basically I started investigating how that was achieved, and I landed on shaders, and shaders brought me to whatever. I don't know. It was a very long thread that I started to pull, and I ended up understanding how to make that stuff happen on my side. But back in the day, I was trying to learn how to make games with XNA, and basically. Yeah, I never did anything with XNA, anything of significance. The big significance I pull from XNA is that it gave me a lot of experience in C# for programming the language. And it also made me understand a lot of what goes into making a 3D game, for example. So doing all that gave me some sort of retroactive perspective on how things worked before that. And of course, that led me to go ahead and look into how the PS1 works and the problems that it has and how it solves it. And this whole thing that if you watch a video from, say, DF Retro, for example, they go real hard into the details of how that stuff works and why things had to be like that. So I kind of used all that knowledge and I put it right into a Blender project, and it looks pretty decently close.
Yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, because back then they didn't have complex lighting, they didn't have normal maps. The PS1 very famously has sort of messy geometry because of the math it uses. So there's a lot of people will see surfaces warp as you move, and that sort of idiosyncratic, iconic wobble, whatever you want to call it, that PS1 games have. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that.
It did seem like, just based off of some of the tweets you said, this whole experience has just been very enlightening, both in terms from a development perspective, refining your skills, but at the same time, appreciating and learning, the little tricks of the trade that they did to build Metal Gear Solid. So.
Absolutely. It was mind-blowing when I started looking at the assets, and I created a minor thread in Twitter about it. But when I started looking at them, I realized just how detailed they are, because, of course, since they don't have fancy lighting techniques, they had to bake all the lighting in the textures. And the textures themselves don't have too much resolution, so they also had to cram all that in basically what is pixel art. And they still managed to make it look really genuine, and it's gorgeous. It's really mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, the KCEJ team, they were artisans at photo bashing, just creating these textures that really just make everything pop. And I mean, that's something they've always been good at. Even in MGS2, there is more dynamic lighting in MGS2, and they had more control over it, but they still do a lot of baked lighting. That's part of why MGS2 looked so dang good.
Yeah,
because they were sort of mixing disciplines. Because even then there was they were using vector-based lighting, same as the PS1, just a little more sophisticated. And if I remember right, the PS2, there was still no normal mapping on the PS2, with the exception of one game, and I think it was Path of Neo or something.
What? There's normal mapping in PS2.
It's like one game. I don't quote me on this, but I remember there being one game on the PS2 that had normal mapping because they wrote their own tool for it.
Wow, it must have been faked, because there's no way to program shaders in the Xbox. In the Xbox, you had shader modeler 1.1, I think, and that enables you to do a little bit more than what you could do in a PS2. But I did not know that there was a game that somehow achieved that.
I have no idea what the fuck either of you are talking about, but I will say this: watching the Silent Hill direct, or I guess in particular the Silent Hill 2 remake, it did, the graphics look fine. Everybody's opinion on what James looks like is different, but it made me really appreciate sort of how classic and timeless the original Silent Hill games looked. I mean, they still look great, and that was just like you guys said, Konami was pretty good at building out those using workarounds to build out this imagery. So
yeah, I was looking at some. I believe it was also a DF retro stream probably of them playing True Crime. This game True Crime that it launched probably in yeah, I think it launched in Xbox and PC and PS2 or something like that.
I had it on GameCube, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Had Snoop Dogg on it.
It's the first game I ever found a glitch in.
Yeah, that game was so janky.
Yeah, it was very
but it was
janky.
fun as shit. Like, yeah, I love that game.
One thing that they tried to do in the PS2 version of the game, if I'm not mistaken, it was the PS2 version. They faked the normal mapping in the clothes of the character to achieve that thing that when you run and you strain either side, when you move your torso, when you twist the torso, your shirt will get strained in different directions. And they kind of faked it by animating some texture blend basically in PS2 so that it looked a bit like that trend that was beginning to happen with shaders and more advanced techniques in a PS2. But I don't think that's what Path of Neo was doing, say, for example, if we were going to go back to that. So yeah, there are lots of things that were happening before the shader model arrived that really put the developers to the test. And well, I guess Metal Gear Solid are the ones that pass with flying colors, definitely.
You can cut this out if you want, but I found the article on IGN where they were interviewing the team that made Path and Neo, and how they basically hacked the PS2 to do normal mapping.
They probably wasted every cycle.
Yeah.
In the process of just to get that done. I don't think that's too optimal.
Listening to the story as like a product manager, it's like, this is a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah.
They try.
I'm gonna read this in
so many
time,
cycles.
But yeah, they probably.
And that was near the end of the console's life too, so like everyone was trying to squeeze every last bit of potential out of that thing before they moved on.
And yet, MGS2 and Silent Hill 3 still look the best.
Right? I mean, Silent Hill 3 looks like an early PS3 game. It's gorgeous.
Well, I remember also there's lots of effects in MGS3 that look amazing. I remember the bag. The bag that they put on Naked Snake's head in the torture sequence. It looks so freaking good. It's the best plastic bag I've ever seen in my life. And it's wearing a PS.
It like has a glow, like a glare to it, and it's a little reflective. Yeah, I mean, I know that with some of these effects, they're sort of cheating. Like they're not doing what you think they're doing, but it's to such great effect that you don't care, and it's all over the place.
It's very intelligent use of blending textures probably, and also animating the vertices, of course, because of the breathing and all that. I think there's a hint of Snake's face when the bag shrinks because of his breathing. You can see like the face pops out in the texture or something like that. I should look back at that, but it's very, very clever. The same goes for the tree caustics. Like if you're under a tree and you see the shadows of the trees, you can see the leaves on top of the characters, but it's just probably some dirty texture multiplying happening there that looks as if you're projecting tree shadows on top of the characters, and it looks freaking cool. These games, dude, they go so hard.
This is part of why when you emulate them, it was so hard to get all of the effects to look right, especially if you crank up the resolution, because it breaks all of the little tricks they were doing.
Yeah.
Like dithering and like all the noise and stuff like that, like that level of stuff.
Well, the blur, like they have sort of a fake motion blur that they use very heavily in MGS3. It's sort of like a bloom effect almost, and yeah, it just when you crank up the resolution in MGS3, things start to look weird.
So about the animation, basically the most basic thing is I used the Eevee renderer in Blender, which is the one that is basically running in real time in your GPU. So it uses every technique in the book that games use, actually, like in actuality, basically. And if you lower the sample count, the ones that Blender does in order to create anti-aliasing and and to smooth out the shadows and all that, you're basically seeing the scene almost as it is, almost as raw as possible. And that removes anti-aliasing, and that gives it a very, very nice PS1 look. If you
raw, the raw visuals. Yeah, I get what you. I don't know if you guys are following this, but I'm taking notes. So,
so yeah, if you put Blender, like the render resolution to say something like 320 by 240.
Yeah, it was something like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you reduce the sample count, you get no anti-aliasing, and that's an instant PS1 look.
Yeah.
And if you want to go deeper, then you have to do some post-processing to remove color depth, and you have to add some sort of dithering technique to get that grainy look that some things have. And another thing that you can do is basically play with the lights and ensure that the models are low poly enough. And that way the lighting calculations get simplified, and everything looks kind of bullshit.
What a load of bullshit. Yeah.
So sort of like to put a bow on it and just sort of simplify the process down, is you basically have to trick Blender into being much, much worse than it wants to be out of the box.
Yeah. It's like
yeah. It's so funny that we're talking about this again after last episode where we had Antonio on talking about Undetected and how he was making things kind of look retro in the Chameleon, and just like very similar conversation of like, how do you get this authentic old school PS1 look that everyone's sort of chasing right now, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's fighting against Blender and Unreal Engine to bash them in so that they don't do everything that they do, basically.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to ask you some questions later off the show because it'll bore everybody, but like I've got some technical questions for you.
I don't want to go into boring details right now.
I like the way you make them dance. They look cool.
That was very nice. It was.
So I don't know if you're familiar with how much you're familiar with Final Fantasy 14 V, but it's very this whole process. It reminds me a lot of the Hildebrand quests that Square Enix works on, or the 14 team works on. And what they do is it's just these like wacky comedic quest lines that come, every so or few patches. Lots of slapstick humor, very hit or miss for some folks. The reason I'm saying this is because with that sort of comedic setting and scenario, the team is able to sort of work on these crazy animations, sort of take the logical ends of their characters' animations, models, things like that, and refine their skills and test those skills out to see if they can apply them to the next expansion for like a more serious scene. So with all that being said, do you feel like your experience, making all these shit posts, not just, the Livesy walk, but also like I sent this one, by the way, to Apache, like the Where on Earth is Jill Valentine, where Chris Redfield is like typing with his nipples. Do you feel like
I haven't seen that one?
I'll put it on live chat. Do you feel like, that you do those things to kind of like stretch out the extent of your skill set, or what's your logic with that type of deal?
I'm gonna say basically I am insatiable. When an idea hits my head, I need to chase it to the ends of the consequences.
I like that.
Or until I just get bored. If I get bored, I just stop. But if I hit a very hard wall, I will also stop because of I need to preserve my sanity. But this is basically how I go into game dev. I wanted to make games so hard that I installed Game Maker at home, and I started looking at ways to replicate the sensations that I got from the games that I played back in Genesis, or the ones that I was playing currently back then in the 2005 something. So yeah, basically this is it's kind of an artistic pursuit that also happens to expand my skill set in some way, but it's purely a Dionysian thing, basically.
I get it.
I'm just chasing the pleasures of life.
I get it.
Chasing the dragon of the shitpost. I understand completely.
I am afraid to ask this, but how long did it take to make that?
The livesy walk took me. If you take some days that I took off because of things, either because I had other compromises or whatever, but yeah. So it must have been like 20 something days.
Wow.
Damn,
Almost
okay.
30.
That's pretty fast though for everything in there.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And is that
Yeah.
counting like producing the music as well, or just the graphics?
It's also the music. I tend to do things in like blocks of 4 to 8 hours sometimes. Sometimes I've spent 8 hours, and I didn't feel it because it was so rewarding.
I thought my shit posts were elaborate, but I'm just in awe.
Yeah, I just I high efforted. I cannot stop myself. Yeah, the music took me like about around 8 hours because I did the basic the draft for it, and it didn't sound exactly as it didn't sound too good. It's kind of hard to balance out the funk vibe with the rest of the soundtrack of the game because
that beat's definitely like swung kind of like it's swung hard for sure. Yeah. So to match it up with Metal Gear, which is very like military and like straight in its swing. Yeah, you've got two like competing feels there to mesh together. So yeah, I know what you're saying with that for sure.
Yeah, also the mastering for the Ghostface guy. I forget which of the Ghostface it is. A player, I think it's a player. So the mixing for that one is super aggressive and crunchy, and it leaves very little space for me to put other things in. So
Yeah,
I had
zero
to do some.
headroom. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the first time that I took the actual time to master one of my mashups instead of just putting things together and hoping that it doesn't clip.
I appreciate that.
See, now I'm lost.
He's making it sound better.
Yeah, it's your turn to be lost.
You're up, fingers.
I'm good.
The mashup isn't like your only sort of creative endeavor with music. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right. Vitri? Is that your persona? Yeah. I was looking through your Vitri SoundCloud, and it was cracking me up because like you have a High School Musical Metal Gear Rising mashup, right? And like 2 High School Musical stars were like just in some super massive games like the Until Dawn folks. I'm like, I wonder if V has played those. But like the remix itself is great. Like what else was there? Like all of the remixes for that like breakdancing song. I forget what that meme's called.
Yeah, the breakdancing cat. It's a
Only You. And yeah. Is that what the song's called? With the cat doing the breakdancing?
Yeah.
I will not expose myself.
You will not expose yourself to what?
I'm not gonna go into any High School Musical remixes. Whether or not I know the lyrics to all the High School Musical songs.
It goes so hard. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna link this on. I'm linking all this shit on live chat. It does go hard though. I don't even like High School Musical.
There's no accounting for taste.
I saw that everybody was just doing mashups with that song from Metal Gear Rising, and I was like, "Wow, this would fit other beats, and it would be cool if I could match it with something." And immediately, for some reason, I could not help but think of that High School Musical 2 song, and it was like, I need this to happen. I'm gonna have to make this happen. I just cannot. It's the same thing that happened with the live sea walk. I just could not stop myself. I had to do it.
Yeah, I know that feeling when you've got 2 things you want to put together, and it's like, I cannot rest until I make this happen. What programs are you using for the mashups?
Well, you would expect me to do some other GAWs. So like I would default to FL, but since it's just cutting and splicing audio, and I don't need VSCIs or whatever, I can virtual instruments.
Yeah.
For people who are not into this kind of thing. Since I don't need all that back end, I can just go to Reaper and do it there.
Okay, so you're just layering them that way. Gotcha. Yeah, well, yeah. If they're sitting around the same tempo or whatever, that's yeah.
No, they're not in the same tempo. I actually have to stretch them and make sure that the pitches match.
So you're doing that in Reaper too?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was surprised you weren't like loading them into DJ programs because that's it sounds like sped up proper. So
yeah, because the re-pitch plugin is pretty good.
Like where it's not like out of pitch, like where it's not just doing like a speed and pitch change at the same time, where it's it's like holding one of the variables steady.
Yeah, the Reaper has a ton of modes for pitch shifting and stretching at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I use those to kind of control the thing. Actually, the Metal Gear Rising ones are kind of sloppy because there are many factors that collaborate into that. One of them is the fact that the ripped vocals sometimes suffer from that inverse karaoke effect, where you can still hear some of the backing track and you cannot get rid of it, and some high frequencies maybe filter out of it, and you get some superposition with so it's kind of hard to mix sometimes. And also like some parts of the lyrics maybe are intonated that they have a melody that really you cannot match whatsoever with the other piece of music that you want to put in the mashup. So yeah, it can get pretty tricky if you really are up to making it sound right enough. I have a very, very terrible pet peeve with mashups. I hate the ones that are simply just putting two things one on top of the other and just hoping that it sticks, and it generally does.
Just letting it ride. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't stick, and it becomes too noisy, and there's just suddenly two entire songs playing at the same time, and it's too much.
Yeah. You want to have it a little bit more curated to where you're like, no, only the good stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I try to do that. I'm going to say that the one that I'm least proud of is the Sundowner one, because it was really hard to work with that vocals only track. I threw it at an AI. I tried to do the inverse karaoke on my own instead of getting the one that was already running around in YouTube. But I never could get the result that I was looking for. But yeah, for this one particularly, the Livesey Walk, I really took the time to make it sound as good as I could possibly make it with my current skill set and with everything that I learned from the Rising saga.
Yeah.
The Rising is basically a primordial soup for memes.
Yeah.
It's a certified bop. I really like the track that's on the meme.
Well, I'm honored, really.
I'm gonna have to get that wave from you. I might have to DJ that out some.
Hey, nice. I should make an extended version, but yeah, I don't want to have the song be just the same but longer.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, that's what long songs are. But yeah, maybe I could manage to figure out the structure so that the song can last longer without getting too old.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can definitely track that out for sure. If you need help, holler at me. We can have some fun with that for sure.
See, I'm completely out of my element now, and I just want to ask more shader questions.
Sorry.
Music, no lighting. Music, lighting.
It's like, I want to know how to do this with MGS2.
Rabbit season.
Silent Hill 2 season.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're sad again.
I'm not sad. It's awesome. Oh,
At least Nitroid's sad.
I'm just neutral. You're not gonna drag me into this shit.
I'm neutral as fuck. You know me. Like I was like, oh, cool, modern graphic, The Last of Us 2, Silent Hill, great. With God, those memes that we saw earlier with Better Call Saul.
I sort of unloaded both barrels
like
on the live stream, dude. So.
Oh yeah, the live stream, you were hot, dude. Like you were just going off.
Dude, I was getting to a point where I like couldn't hear myself think. Like it was just Nitroid, angry Nitroid.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Please don't.
I missed it.
Coming on YouTube. Keep an eye out, YouTube subscribers and people who listen on YouTube.
Yeah, that'll be a burst transmission for sure.
I'm never ever going to get invited to Konami at this rate.
Not for anything Silent Hill related.
Nope. I mean, if it were a Metal Gear remake, Let's be honest now.
And see, that's one thing that I, seeing this event made, kind of reassured an opinion that I've already had, is just like, look, all these different collections and different things that we've kind of seen, I think Metal Gear is coming. I think they just kind of want to have like all their ducks in a row by the time that one comes. Because like, let's be real, like that's the important one, Like we've got all these other IPs and stuff. Yeah, Silent Hill's great and Ninja Turtles cool. You know me, I love Ninja Turtles, but Metal Gear Solid, you can't fuck that up, like that's
I mean,
they gotta test the waters.
Silent Hill is definitely easier. Well, let me put it like this: Silent Hill has less baggage than Metal Gear, so it's easier to sort of, relaunch in a way, which is what this was.
I like how you said it has less baggage, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, it's still pretty bad.
It is, but like everything's relative, right?
At least we're not Silent Hill fans. Yeah, all right.
I mean, I kind of am.
What I was gonna say, I think that Silent Hill was a genre-defining game that evolved in its own way, but somehow always prevailed. Like there's a ton of games that emulate the style, and the genre of the game has been perfected along the years. So basically, it coming back might be just more of the same with its own twist. While MGS was never really replicated fully.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it a big risk to remake, I think.
That's something I've wondered about for a while, actually, and we've talked about it, where you will see a lot of indie or fan games made of all types of popular games and genres, right? But Metal Gear, strangely, has very, very little in this area.
I want to say none. It has none.
I mean, we're seeing some now.
There's the Operation Mercury, yeah, and yeah, like Undetected, and
yeah, but it's all very recent, But like, you look at like Metroid or Mario or Sonic or Mega Man or
what was it, Metal Gear Santa, or what was that Christmas shit?
Yes, yeah, Merry Gear Solid.
Merry Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Santa Claus. I'll never forget that Game Over soundbite.
But for some reason, like Metal Gear has never really inspired that sort of creativity from people, and I don't know why. I've never been able to figure it out. Like you'd think that the 2D Metal Gears would be something that is more often replicated, but the only notable examples I can think of are Merry Gear Solid and Unmetal. That's really it.
There were others. There were others a bunch of years ago, I think. I don't remember exactly, but there was a sneaking game that tried to replicate this VR mission style gameplay.
Yeah, Volume.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Antonio, and again, it's just the fact that you can count them on one hand,
The thing is, to encapsulate what makes Metal Gear, you really need to go freaking hard with the story and the cutscenes and the gameplay. The gameplay is not that much. Like, you got a bunch of NPC dudes that do stuff and pathfinding. Of course, there are lots of more complicated elements to how the AI works or how the systems or whatever, or the game design. You can go really deep into the game design. But it's like making a Metal Gear really is making an entire Metal Gear, or you just cannot go big or go home. It's like
it's a whole lot to try to say something is Metal Gear.
Yeah,
and I guess maybe just people also felt like the mechanics in isolation aren't enough to warrant an indie game. I don't know. I mean, I've always loved the VR missions. I've always, I've enjoyed Metal Gear for the gameplay, which is part of why it was so shocking to me. Like, if we again, something we've talked about before is I would love to see something like a future Metal Gear have like a VR missions maker,
Yeah.
Like that would be a blast.
Metal Gear Maker is like the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Holy Grail.
And you don't necessarily need the story.
Nah, fam, we're gonna get a universal multiplayer Metal Gear where you dictate what happens to, I don't fucking know, Raiden with like 10,000 other people.
It becomes canon and there's no reset button.
when I first heard that, I was like, oh shit, are they doing like an Until Dawn type thing? Once again, going back to my supermassive obsession. But no, it's like fucking Community. And I like the text messages. Like, they were like, oh my god, everywhere, please help. And like, if I was in Silent Hill, I'd be like, y'all, this shit is wild. You should see it.
So that was for Silent Hill Ascension, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Would you even get reception in Silent Hill?
I mean, you could always do, what's that thing that you can do on Apple? AirDrop?
Right. God.
I did see something about that. It was it's a co-op live streaming, like you're going through it and like watching it with other people together and like just like choose your own adventure type thing. I don't know.
Shattered Memories had a phone. You were taking pictures with it, and there were some messages and calls that you had to make. And
I wonder if it will have like some sort of like ARG element, like, you know, I don't know.
I kind of doubt
Pyramid Head messaged you.
That would be funny. I just kind of doubt it because everyone was expecting them to do some sort of ARG thing for the reveal of these games, and they were just like, "No, we're going to show it on Wednesday."
They're not only going to show it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
all the like reading of secret messages, all the hidden meanings that people found, and then they just went, "Yeah, we're doing Silent Hill on Wednesday. Turn up to check it out.
Tune in for the live stream, and then we're just gonna post the whole thing accidentally, so you can fast forward and go right ahead."
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I swear to God, this is what happened, y'all. We were on the video, like, and I was like, why the fuck? Like, I saw that there was a progress bar that was going past, and I was like, why the fuck are we having to listen to this loud ass, like, background music with this fogging? So I fast forward. I'm like, wait a second. This timetable is 45 minutes. Guys, we have the whole fucking video. And then I click a timestamp, and the first fucking thing I see in the timestamp is the Bloober logo. The Bloober logo.
Beautiful.
Oh, man. We kept mispronouncing the name earlier, calling them everything but what they actually were. Just complete disrespect.
Booger.
Not caring to remember their name at all. Calling them Booger.
I've been calling them Bloober for like Blooper. I've been calling them Blooper for like this whole since this show has existed.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Burger Team.
Figures every 6 months he has to say it's Bloober Chelsea. And today was one of those days.
Can you think of a more mismatched pairing than Bloober Team and Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff that I've seen from them doesn't like give me like confidence. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a great game with great mechanics.
Didn't you retweet like somebody like they showed the mechanics like very briefly on one of the developers' desktops?
It's clearly there was this part of the stream where they showed one of the developers' screens, and it was the game in a very very early stage. But no, actually, it's not early. It looks pretty done. Like the combat system, they were showing off the combat system, but in an empty test room. And it was like, yeah, there's no way this game is gonna look good. It looks bad even by PS4 standards.
GTA 6 all over again.
Yeah. I am so sorry. I should be more responsible with my ironic tweets. Or maybe I should just go off like Apache's mentioned.
Yeah, no, go off.
Please, no, I actually, seriously, we want you to go off because, I mean, you've already shown that you have such an insight on graphics design, you know, how to make things work with what you have. So go the fuck off, please.
It's fun. It's fun, really, making fun of the industry events like this.
I mean, how can you not? The image of James like pounding his fist on the floor,
like, screaming into the air,
and them doing like his ending monologue from the leave ending before the final boss,
looking like Lemmy.
Yeah, looking like Lemmy.
Bloober Team has built a brand on blunt force horror writing. Like,
you're scared.
There's our title.
Just
they just hit you in the head with it.
I'm thinking the fist pounding scene is gonna be when the double executioners, when they like Impale Maria. But
Probably.
I remember, like, all of his very subtle actions in the original game are, like, very exaggerated from what we saw.
The thing that bothered me wasn't, I mean, yeah, it's corny to see him scream up at the sky, but the thing that really got me was their take on the intro where he
like rushes in.
Yeah, like storms into the bathroom and he's like vigorously washing his hands in a panic, and then he slows down and touches his face in the mirror.
I gotta take a shit.
Because that's what he's supposed to do, and like the original game has this very uncanny fugue state sort of feel to it, and this is just your typical contemporary thriller. You know, the tone is gone.
Talk about blunt force. That tweet that I saw from PSX Bunnylith. You gotta check it. You just gotta check it out. It's in the live chat.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that clip. That is one of the funniest. Like that's a great example of contagious laughter.
Bunk force horror.
I'm trying to hold myself back, you know.
No, it's okay.
I'm looking at them releasing all this merchandise for the game, and I'm like, you've got these figurines of Maria and James and Pyramid Head, and you know what this game is about, right? Like, did you guys forget what it's about?
It's about how sexy Pyramid Head is.
Yeah, yeah. I am amazed that they showed the restraint to use his original design at least, and not like the buff version that you see everywhere now.
Just a reminder that SilentHill.com is still up.
Yep. But it doesn't go to what you think it goes to.
Yeah, they're probably. I mean, I can see if somebody would want to, like, what's that term they use? Domain squat.
Yeah.
I can see why somebody would do that out of frustration, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, man, don't be a dick right now.
Hand it over. Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, they might want to start getting their domains back. Especially now. I mean, how many people are going to go to SilentHill.com after hearing about this?
I hope they just give it back.
It's so funny. People are like, I'm interested in this product. Oh.
From a marketing perspective, it's like super late to get that domain, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this is like pre-planning stuff. This is shit you do like a PI before the actual.
Yeah, they should have had it ages ago.
Some poor fucking Konami sitting there going like, all right, time to register the domain. No!
Well, they had it. They let them all lapse. They let Metal Gear lapse. They let Silent Hill lapse. They let Castlevania lapse.
That's exactly the moment where they did the motion capture for the screaming into the air. Like the guy who was trying to register the domain found out that SilentHills.com was already taken. It was like, no.
Maybe it was one of those like business cases where it was like, we're not really using this because what are websites these days but just links to other social media networks?
Yeah.
Sure.
Given that Masahiro Ito is involved in this, do you think they gave him a stern talking to after that tweet?
The one where he's like, I wish I never made Pyramid Head?
Yeah.
They should put that on a shirt and make it merchandise.
There you go.
Yeah, they must capitalize on it, not try to hide the fact that it existed.
All right, here's a question. What would be worse? What we're getting, which is like the extreme commercialized version of Silent Hill 2 with all subtlety stripped out, or if Konami did something akin to Final Fantasy VII Remake where it's sort of a self-aware remake of Silent Hill 2.
That was in the back of my mind. That was like
what's worse?
I mean,
from my standpoint, I would rather have a remake that does everything differently. I'm not saying. I tweeted about MGS remakes a bunch of days ago, and I kind of take it back. I don't think I want MGS 1 to be remade with modernized whatever. So what I would like to see is more games trying to do what a Metal Gear remake would be, but while still being themselves and not Metal Gear, basically. And at the same time, when it comes to Silent Hill, I'm gonna. This disclaimer is important. I've never played a Silent Hill in my life, but I know things about them.
Yeah, I mean, this is Silent Hill 2 is like Final Fantasy 7 at this point, where even if you haven't played it, you know everything about it.
It's like gaming's version of Who Shot JR. Except with a pillow.
So, just remaking it exactly as it was. I don't know. I'm still gonna, if I ever get back into the series, like I really, this has spurred me into wanting to play the series. But I would hate the idea of playing the remake first and then the original game, basically. And I would do the same with Resident Evils. I've not played the first 4 Resident Evils. Because I sucked. I didn't have a PlayStation 1 and I didn't have a PlayStation 2 in time. So yeah, things happened.
It almost feels like that'd be the way to do it though. Like now at this point, like if you haven't played the original, like just go ahead and play the remake first and just like get that out of the way and then like go back to the original and be like, okay, I get why this is better now. Like, you know, end on a good note instead of like oh, that sucked. Like, I don't know.
The first Resident Evil didn't have as strong of a visual identity as like RE2 or 3 or the later ones did. So it lent itself better to remaking, I think, in terms of like trying to hit the same mood.
Yeah.
You know, RE2 remake is a very different animal. You know, Apache and I were talking about this earlier. On the stream actually, about how those RE2 and RE2 remake are games with very different visions. You almost can't compare them.
They're just incredible games in their own right with similar writing behind them.
But RE1 remake, and I know this line gets thrown around a lot anytime there's a remake that impresses more than 5 people, but it really does feel like this is what they would have made at the time had they been able to.
I just wish they would not have put the goddamn Crimson Heads in it. That pissed me off so much and made me just go, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, there needs to be at least like a mode where that's turned off. That was so frustrating.
Annoying,
The Crimson Heads and the fact that like once you unlock one dangerous zombie, you can't turn it off. I know that Forest only is like in a certain period of the game, but like don't make me do extra modes when I don't want to.
Yeah, that should have been on like hard mode only, the Crimson Heads. Like that I never finished Remake on GameCube because of that. It was just like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah,
like,
it's genuinely a hard game.
Yeah.
No, I love that shit. Just fuck me up, bro. Make the zombies Zerg. Just fuck me up.
It's so weird.
It messed up like my whole strategy to like having to like sit there and be like, okay, I gotta set this guy on fire now. Like I remember that I'm gonna remember that I'm gonna come back through this room later. Like for a casual player that's just like playing through on one playthrough, it's like it was too much. Like I was like, well, god damn it, I've only got 3 bullets anyway. Like now I gotta deal with this fuck. Oh, I forgot to set him on fire earlier. Like it was too much to manage. Like Resident Evil is already stressful. Like inventory management, and then they're throwing that shit in. I was like, I'm out. No.
I might be a nerd here, but I live for that shit. Like the inventory management.
I haven't played it, and I can't. I'm like more excited to play it now.
They're counting on people taking the time to plan their routes. That's why they did that, because they wanted to encourage people to sort of slow down. But like you said, if you're not doing it that way, if you're just playing it like probably most people are, then that's not really a consideration.
That's what I'm saying. I think that should have been like a hard mode thing where like there should have been a mode where just those guys were turned off. That's all.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's weird though is that as much as I love the RE1 remake, it's like one of the few remakes where I genuinely think it's just absolutely stellar.
Yeah, I loved it other than that part. That's the sad part. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy this.
Even though it shares so much in common with it, I really don't like Resident Evil 0 all that much. It's just not fun to me.
I think a lot of people don't like Resident Evil 0.
It's just kind of boring.
I didn't mind it. Like I remember
the train's cool.
You're on a train, and that's all I remember really. But yeah.
Interesting idea, blah execution. And then on their point about like Resident Evil 1 not really having a visual style, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like one of my favorite parts of that game, ironically, is the setting where it's like all the lights are still on, but nobody's here. Like something was happening here. It's like there was clearly some engagement, but if some shit goes down, nobody's gonna be able to turn off all the lights, right? Because shit's going down.
That's a really good point.
So like you walk in here and like everything's bright and it looks lived in. Whereas I get why people like the remake aesthetic, but I don't know. I just like what they were trying to do with the first one. But
that is an exceptionally good
that's
point,
really cool.
And I never thought of that.
I mean, it could have just been a limitation, but yeah.
I mean, you could do some creepy stuff with that too. I saw another PS1 survival horror game that had sort of similar things going on. I never beat it. It's just ridiculously difficult. I think it's called like Martian Gothic, something like that.
Martian, yes, I remember. I've never played it, but I remember it. I remember the title.
Yeah, it's something Martian Gothic Unification. Yeah, and it's a PS1. It's Resident Evil like survival horror game, and it's sort of got that same RE0 mechanic where you're switching between characters to accomplish things.
Wow.
But
I don't remember this at all.
The environments are all it's more obscure. But if you look at all the environments, they're all very lived in, and the lights are on, and and it's like part sci-fi, part ghost story. It's pretty cool, but really hard.
I know I've seen a few horror streamers like do a special night for this game. I definitely recognize it. Which I'm sure those same horror streamers are having the time of their lives right now. I already saw Maxi, a previous guest of ours. He was like making a video on the Silent Hill news, like coming soon. But I'm going to say what you guys always hear me say, which is fuck Bloober.
Yeah, Nigma was going pretty hard on Bloober as well. Yeah, we had a few like horror streamers on like back to back.
Yeah, I mean, with how much we talk about Resident Evil, which is also going to have stuff coming up here soon.
Yeah, they're going to stream tomorrow. That's sadly not going to be on this episode, but watch out next episode.
Yeah,
it's good times.
It happened right before my eyes. Everything is looking back to Resident Evil.
It always does. We need a counter. We really do for how many times we bring up Resident Evil.
And it's only gonna get worse. Apache is looking for his next RE game to no hit speedrun. Or no hit or speedrun or both.
Yeah, because right now you're no hitting what, RE2 remake?
Yeah, I'm trying. I want to do like all scenarios back to back. So I'm hoping to get that done by this weekend. So that's like all 4 scenarios back to back without getting hit. And then I'm thinking I'm gonna do Resident Evil 4, but after I heard you talk about Resi 1 remake, I think I might do that.
It's a good time, man.
I
need to
remember
revisit it. I just remember
It's
that being
fun.
my initial complaint about it. Like I was playing through it for the first time. I was like, oh, what the fuck are these things? Like, no, I'm out. No, bye-bye.
If you play the way they want you to play and you plan around it, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
You sound like me talking to Apache about RE2 remake. And now look at him. Now fucking look at him.
Oh, he's already installing it.
No, I'm having a good time with Resident Evil, and if Konami's doing stuff in the background, they're making some games, then I've got time, right? So
I know we've been like bragging on Silent Hill 2, but I mean, what was the name of it? The Sakura, it's a concept, the Silent Hill F, I think is what they're calling it.
Ascension,
Yeah.
right?
No, Ascension is the multiplayer one. I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
Because there were like 4 games, weren't there? There was 4 games in a movie.
Community. That sounds like a community meme.
Yeah,
it's a lot. 4 games in a movie.
But the most interesting one, I think, was that last one, the Silent Hill F, where I guess it's like set in 1960s Japan, and it's being written by he did I can't remember the full title, but it's the Higurashi horror anime.
Is it gonna be like
Cry
that
or something?
Is it gonna be like that's Yakuza game that's also set in feudal Japan?
Well, no, it's not. It's not quite like that. I mean,
Ryukishi.
it's still fairly modern, but yeah, it definitely is very different. They had the Silent Hill theme playing with Japanese instruments, and So like they're leaning hard into that, and it seemed actually pretty interesting. In comparison to the other stuff, like this is going to be like their new title. So I guess, I mean, are we even in numbers anymore? Because, you know, Homecoming was technically 5, I suppose, but it's not really called that. So
and then Downpour's not called 6.
So this would be not 7, I guess.
Just like how many games there are, and then just put "not" in front of it and be like, well,
Yeah.
not technically the 9th game, but
Look,
yeah,
as long as
thing.
the hills don't say a thing, it's okay.
Those hills better shut up. But no, I mean that looks interesting. You know, it's got a different art style, a different concept. You know, they're setting it. It's strange though that, like, you know, it's not necessarily in Silent Hill. You know, like, and it's not to say that they haven't done that before with you know, The Room took place outside of Silent Hill, and then you would sort of go into it, and then Homecoming sort of had you around it as well as in it, and then Downpour again sort of around it and in it, and so this being in Japan is about as far away from Silent Hill as you can get, unless it's like you're going to be teleported there or something. I don't know, but it's interesting. Silent Hill in premise, if not location. And then I think they had, okay, so let me just do a roll call here because this was a lot to follow. So Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill Ascension, which is the multiplayer one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill F, which is the feudal Japan one. The Silent Hill movie, which is a Return to Silent Hill with Christopher Gans directing, who did the first movie, and I guess he's now doing an adaptation of Silent Hill 2. And then there was one more that was like barely shown, and it was like, do you remember what it was called? Home something?
Was that the J.J. Abrams, John?
I think so.
Far
yeah.
from Home.
Silent Hill Far From Home.
Townfall.
Townfall. There it is.
That one. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Far from Town. Well, whatever.
Far from Town. Yeah. And they didn't really show anything about what that was. They just sort of, I guess, Annapurna Interactive is
Yeah.
Involved, and they were involved with Stray recently, and yeah, I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in, and I guess that means when Metal Gear rolls around in a couple years, they're gonna have like 5 games.
Oof. Boy.
And a movie.
And a movie, yeah, because they've been real quiet on the movie.
I'm gonna go watch some Community tonight.
I want an animated movie. I don't want a live action movie for me.
Yeah, thank you. Like that is.
Here we go. Hold on. How about movie with supplemental animated shit to go along with it to set it up?
The animated,
like the Animatrix.
But but the animated thing will be twice as better.
Sure.
Why not just put all your resources in there? And
because
stop
Oscar
calling
Isaac needs a
big names?
paycheck.
I guess he
And
doesn't.
so
need
does
more money.
fucking Jordan.
Just go back, play Moon Knight. I don't care.
If they would just do
Moon
like
Knight
the
wasn't bad.
Animatrix, the Animatrix is the model for
Yeah.
how you should approach Metal Gear in normal media. Because if you did an anthology series where it was just a bunch of different writers and different
for
artists,
Netflix, that'd be perfect.
yeah, that weren't just stories about the characters that you're familiar with, but they were showing like these little side stories in the world of Metal Gear at different times. Like that could be really interesting, and like occasionally you would have glimpses of the characters rather than putting them in the
Where
spotlight.
they're kind of
like,
featured, yeah.
God, just give me that.
I would love to see stuff that happened during MSF, for example.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lore there that is hidden in the tapes, and some people just never get to that.
Or like show the mercenary war, or show people living in Outer Heaven or Zanzibar land. I mean, you could
Or
do
show
so
people
much.
fighting naked in the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
We could get all those moments that we've been wanting, like with the games and stuff. Like I feel like that'd be a good approach. Like, you know, like, oh, show us more stuff of the boss in World War II. Like show us more stuff of like when they're rescuing Raiden. You know, these moments that we never got the games for. I don't know. The more moments between MGS 1 and 2, like where Snake and Otacon are doing shit. Like I don't know. There's all these time frames where you could set things in and just write a new story where it wouldn't affect canon, and you could play within the bounds of it, and it would be fine. It wouldn't be like offensive to it.
Yeah, that downtime between MGS1 and MGS2, I think, is already filled by Maddie's artwork. Like, I find it funny that you called it Otacon and Snake doing stuff, because we know that they were not doing stuff; they were doing each other.
Oh man, that raspberry. I hope she hears this part. I'm sure she'll love it.
All the Snotacon listeners out there.
There's I mean, it's generally considered like not canon, but at this point, who cares? But Metal Gear Solid Mobile was like this little cell phone game that was available for a while, and this was like pre-iPhone stuff, so it was like on flip phone, feature phone type deals.
Mm-hmm.
But it played like a little dumbed down version of like MGS2. It was like almost like an MGS 1.5. And it was like a mission that took place between MGS 1 and 2, where they're going after one of these Metal Gear copies out in the world, and there's like a twist to the story in it, which is kind of neat, and it doesn't play all that well, but it was pretty interesting to see like something in that time period,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looked pretty okay
for the time it was made. Yeah, it's crazy impressive. But like, I want to see more stuff that's like, complete. Just forget the canon. Just let it be. It's done. It's over with. Do side stories. Explore different things. Take the framework of Metal Gear, which is secret soldier goes after robot, political intrigue, nuclear deterrence, etc., and like tell different types of stories with that, like Acid and Ghost Babel did, and just like give me stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be great. And also that leaves you with room to explore different art styles and not have to go the MGS5 way, which is extremely expensive, and it also doesn't fit all the storylines really that you could make.
I agree with you too that it would be great if developers would sort of take the framework of what Metal Gear is and explore that. Not necessarily making new Metal Gear games, but making more Metal Gear likes.
Yeah.
What can you do with these concepts? Where can you take them? Like that's stuff I really want, because I really enjoy these games for the gameplay, and I wish there was more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, the snappy controls, the very specific moveset, the equipment way of handling things, which is unlike other games.
Yeah. It's like a mechanical sandbox, if not a world sandbox.
I thought you were gonna say it's a mechanical sandwich, which it is.
It's got layers.
Must be because I'm getting hungry.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can feel my stamina bar in the low 25%. My stomach doing. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. I'm not hungry, but my mind might be.
Well, you've given us a lot of food for thought today, so. Can we talk about how there was a Mira figure so people can get off our dick about the Fat Man plushie?
Wait, what?
There was, Mira the SH2 dog.
Uh-huh.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah, they were.
I know that's
fans
petty
were
as.
pissed.
I know that's petty as fuck, but there you go, Mira fans.
Give us Fat Man.
Give us the Fat Man.
I don't think they're gonna do it.
They took our social media interaction and ran.
Yeah, we got played.
They were hoping people would vote Snake, and the vote got rigged.
Yep. I mean, we were playing them from the get-go with Running Man. I mean, all that said, look, I will put my money where my mouth is. If they release a Fat Man plushie, I'm gonna buy it.
I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna use my Patreon money to buy ones for giveaways.
There you go. Like,
wow.
Like, yes, it's a joke, but also we're not kidding. It's just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah, you can just buy the Fat Man plushie and throw it off the side of a tanker.
I'm sure somebody on Etsy already made one too.
During the tutorial sequence, you can just throw the the fat man off the side of a tanker. Make a statement.
God, I got to get back to that. That is yeah. I don't want to drive everyone crazy by getting into it, but I definitely have questions for you regarding what you did and what it would take to do something similar with MGS2, specifically with regards to the visuals of MGS2 and how they have it look so
so damn smooth.
Yeah, it's very distinct and very smooth and very clean in comparison to other PlayStation 2 games. Same with MGS3. Like, they look incredible in a way that very few other PS2 games look. You know, it's Silent Hill, Final Fantasy 12, Haunting Ground. Those are really the only other examples that sort of get in that same level of sort of like clean visuals. It doesn't look like a game. It's not hard edged. It's like it's got a softness to it. It's not blurry, but it's soft. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. I believe it's because it's a game that could afford to have some sort of anti-aliasing or something, which is something that most games in PS2 don't have because of probably engineering costs. Like some of them were released too early and by a non-Japanese team that didn't have access to whatever hardware testing or manuals or whatever. And we know that the team at Konami really had all the knowledge to pull that off and probably all the resources to do it. And so there are other games that released even later than MGS2 that still look kind of crappy compared to...
Yeah. I remember...
I was going to say, I'm not super versed in reverse engineering MGS2 or anything else, but a good way to know how to replicate stuff is just observing. And one great way to observe is if you take a guided tour or something like that. It would seem as though I'm sponsored by, but I'm not. You should take a look at DF Retro videos about the games. They go really detailed, really deep into the details of what makes up the visual composition of the game. And they talk about the reflections and the resolutions and the frame rate and all that. It's pretty useful.
Yeah, we need to get someone from DF Retro on here sometime too. That's been another goal.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. It's
sorry, we can hijacked the topic again.
No, it's all good. It is funny. I've something I mentioned before, but it's just, you know, thinking back to when MGS2 was first shown off, there were PC game developers who were looking at it and going, "How the hell did you do this?" And on a PS2, no less. Because nothing looked that good.
Definitely.
Apparently, not to change the subject again, but like according to Angelus in the chat, Item Lab is working on the Fat Man plushie.
Oh wow!
I trust your word, Angelus.
I want to believe. I really do.
No, I want one. I wonder how much it would cost to order one from here.
See, look at that. We got you a customer. Item Lab.
Yeah, pretty sure the the postage would be above $40, and who knows how much tax on top of that.
Is it just really hard to get? You said Argentina, right?
Yeah. The problem is that stuff in USD or anything else, basically, we get a tax of about 60 to 70% on top of it.
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
I think it just got increased again. Yeah. My best bet would be to actually work for someone in the outside, have that person pay to me like in an outside account, say like a PayPal or maybe a Pioneer or something. Keep the money outside the country and use that money to purchase stuff outside the country, so that I don't get I don't have to pay those taxes. But otherwise, if the money is coming from my actual pocket here, I have to pay all that. And
that is rough.
So if somebody from the Argentinian like IRS listens to this show, you're not gonna get in trouble for saying that, right? Okay.
No. I think it's legal to like work remotely for outside and keep your money outside the country. there are other parts of, or maybe it isn't, but it's not something that I do. So
this is
Don't
just all
investigate.
hypothetical.
please don't look into that secret spy that you're probably listening to this.
Hyper specific listener in our
But
audience base.
if anyone's wondering about tax evasion,
Hey,
One guy
I was
sitting at the
trying to
desk like,
beat
I
around the
knew
bush.
it.
One guy sitting
but,
there going, motherfucker.
he's like writing shit down. Like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
who's that new patron who just left the chat?
He's like, I gotta work tonight. I was just trying to chill, listen to my Metal Gear podcast. Now you gotta make me bust on my notepad. This sucks.
Man, this investigation was so successful. I can't believe I had to listen to all that Resident Evil talk, but now we got you.
Not a big Silent Hill fan myself, but
Gosh.
that livesy walk though. That livesy walk.
Are we gonna keep going back to that one?
It just
It is that good. The
Yeah.
amount of like movement and like how accurate it is. Like, is that something that you use like a I don't know the term for it, but like a pre-configured routine, like where it has like the script of them doing that dance move, or is that something that you like hand did? Like,
Oh, I see what you're going. So yeah, it's not like a game engine where you can just put a script in the characters and have them do something until you give them some sort of command or input or something. But at the same time, due to artistic freedom, you do not want that unless it's something like on a bigger scale. You know, like crowd simulations they do for movies and all that.
Yeah.
Where you actually have a script and have characters avoid each other and try to target others and play a specific attack animation when they reach each other, and you have massive Lord of the Rings scale fights that you can make. Now, in this case, it's just Blender has a thing that is called a non-linear animation editor. That is, you can create a specific animation walk cycle or something like that, and then you can make that into a clip, and then you put that into the non-linear timeline, and you can put it as many times as you want, but you can blend in and out of it by using a secondary track that has some sort of blending mode to it. Yeah, and you can crossfade between animations. You can do all sorts of weird things. But
I guess that's my question, was like, was the animation like already pre-rendered like a Fortnite dance? Like, you know, like how I guess like people just kind of like pass around like animations. Like, was that or was that something?
No. I had to. Yeah. No, I tried to create. I read the models from the game disc, and they already came with a skeleton. And what I did was I rigged the skeleton. I added inverse kinematics, which is this way that and 3D animation software resolves stuff like food placement and hand targeting stuff. So what I did is I took the original skeletons and I tweaked them to make them into something useful for animation. But I had to do all the animation on my own. And the only thing that I did is I wrote out the walk cycle from Dr. Livesey, but it needed to match the proportions of the characters in NGS, which are more sort of realistic humanoids than Dr. Livesey.
Gotcha. So that's okay. So you did like a rotoscoping for the reference. Okay, got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. In the end, it ended up just being hand animated because the poses could not be simply retargeted or translated or whatever.
1-to-1, yeah, because of the different proportions and stuff. Gotcha.
Jeez. I've got so much to learn.
That's so cool, man. Like that's just like I'm following for sure. Like that's awesome.
I spent like a week and a half doing texture edits to try and make a really dumb secret room near in MGS3 meme, and what you did makes me feel so inadequate. Because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, but one thing is doing it in engine, like modding the game, and another thing is having the entire liberty of just having a 3D modeling software and doing everything right there.
True.
I guess,
of course.
Yours took so much more work than mine did.
Probably. I mean, if you already have the meshes and all you have to do is like do some sort of texture with the text mod thing that has the direct text injection thing where you can change the textures of the emulator or the game that you're running. I guess No, it's still a lot of work. I don't even know what you're talking about, man. High effort. Yeah. High
Well,
effort
you're
is just
inspiring
our
me to
vibe.
try harder. That's what I'll say.
This is just like, I love it. It's like a mutual meeting of respect between two very dedicated shit posters. Like,
you've got to care about your shit post. You really do.
Definitely.
No,
like, this
no,
is
you really
the Metal
don't.
Gear meme guy.
Paint works.
Well, yes, Spite is
different
also
schools of
very
thought on
powerful.
I assure you, I've put no effort into any of my shit posts.
Okay, so there's like different degrees, right? So like Apache, okay, like Nitroid and V here, they're like a nice meal. They're like, you go out to a local like brewery, or you go out to like a very high class restaurant, Michelin 4-star, which by the way, I found out that was actually the tire company. Like it's not another entity. It's actually the tire company that.
Oh yeah,
that.
Michelin star. Yeah, no, it's the tire
Michelin,
company.
yeah.
They know all about food. Yeah, my shit posts are like a raccoon eating trash.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say your shit is like McDonald's. Like you can get it everywhere. It's pretty easy to make, or like local Chinese or pizza.
This was like Gordon Ramsay making a meme.
Yeah, no, true that.
I think I think hatred can make you use your talents like real hard, even though you think it's low effort, it's still such high value out of it. And I guess what we call negative emotions can also be turned into a very successful artistic output.
Spite is a great ingredient for me.
It is
for sure.
Strangely, there's like an inverse bell curve when it comes to effort versus how well a shitpost does.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get the most traction out of the shitposts that you either put 0% effort in or 100% effort. But anything in between, it's just not going to take.
Yeah. I always tell people that the fiddle remix took 30 minutes, so I don't know.
Yep, man, it's always the stuff you are either spending weeks on or the stuff you spent literally 3 seconds on. That's
dude, I hate that feeling. Like when you do like a really like, it's not even like, sometimes it's not even like a shit post. It's just like a 2 second thought that may come off like a shit post. And you put your phone in your pocket, you go out to eat or something, and then you look and it's like your tweet has showed up on trending.
Yep.
Oh, I never know about that because I don't use the Twitter app. I only use like browser, so I don't get all this like info.
Your phone would never shut up, dude.
I think you're crazy if you let Twitter ping your phone. That's nuts.
I have turned off notifications, but Twitter decides that like if it's beyond a certain threshold of like big person did it, like big person retweeted you, it'll tell you anyway and like override your notification settings. It's really weird.
Way, that's rude.
Wow.
Like like I will turn off notifications for a post, and then on the rare occasion that like Kojima retweets something, I will get a notification. Like maybe it's because I follow him, maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I only get notifications for like people I mutually follow.
That might be it. But he doesn't.
It also does it like if you haven't like checked in a while, it'll be like, hey, just so you know, Twitter exists and stuff's happening on it. Like Instagram does it too. It's like there's people posting to their reels.
Yeah, I would like to get
stories you haven't seen yet. Like,
God, I hate that Instagram notification. I don't give a fuck. And when it gives you the little wave emoji, fuck you.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of that, and I want to get rid of Twitter telling me what other people liked.
Yeah. If I would have wanted other people to see it, I would have retweeted it.
Because that means that other people are seeing what I like, and that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe if people realize how fucked up I really am, they'll leave me alone. That's my mentality with that.
God.
I want to make sure that we give some time for UV to kind of, give us the future, whether that's the future of parametric memes, the future of, lemon chili games, or just your freelance. Like, what are the next steps for you?
Well, I basically with the Metal Gear Rising breakdancing memes, the whole saga, I discovered that people care about this stuff, and of course, like humor, memes, art, there are valuable things, right? that's what pushed me to make this Dr. Livesey thing into something that I really put some care about. Like I actually produced it instead of just going like low effort whatever bullshit. Yeah, put it in a loop, and it's always in the entrance of Shadow Moses, and it goes on forever. Yeah, basically what I've been thinking is perhaps I should open up a Ko-fi or something like that for people who want to like support my creative endeavors if they think they're valuable. My job at Lemon Chili Games right now is my livelihood, and I don't know, like this is like what my daytime job is, and I don't think it's gonna change unless whatever, like something happens, like every daytime job happens basically. But on my side, like my personal side of this is that maybe parametric memes might become a more serious thing. Like I could take more care and actually be actively looking for new content to put out, because I'm constantly getting new ideas for stuff to make, but I'm a bit shy on the asking for money, for example, part of it. Because I'm not too familiar with that. There's this side of content creation that is something that I've never explored. So yeah, it's gonna be quite an interesting discovery, I'd say. But I've still got a lot to learn. That's, for example, this thing that people are asking me to put the mashups or the remixes in Spotify, for example. And I know jack shit about the music rights and fair use and copyright stuff.
That's gonna be tough for Spotify, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That's 2 songs that are already in the system, so you're gonna have to get rights for both of them to legally upload to Spotify. Like, if anything, you could put them on Bandcamp probably, but Spotify is probably a no-go.
Yeah, that's a thing that I've been thinking of. For example, I would love to give people who are interested in this thing access to these things, but at the same time, I know it's a lot of effort, and sometimes I just I drop the ball when it comes to legal stuff and the boring part of things, because I just want to create things. So yeah, if given that I do have a job that gives me the economic support to just go on and keep on doing these dumb things, I don't feel like I should legitimize what I do on the other side. Say, for example, like actually starting a music career. But despite that, I think that my time is valuable, and if other people value that time, it would be nice to get some support.
Yeah.
But it's something that's it's entirely in draft stage so far, and I'm gonna have to start asking questions and see where I go to next. Because I also know that just, I don't know, dedicating yourself to create content and to do stuff like this kinds of memes and stuff, it probably eventually gets old, and it's also you get like in a bind, I guess, when you have people that are subscribing to your content and you suddenly decide that you don't want to do it anymore. And I feel like that commitment is something that I really need to be sure about before I just go on and try to say like, yeah, I'm gonna keep on doing this forever. Pay me periodically.
I think for now you've got enough people that really just enjoy your content, and they wouldn't mind supporting you, throwing a few bucks your way. So something like a Patreon or something like that.
Yeah.
Just let me know if you start messing with MGS2, because I got questions.
Well, speaking of that, like I see more future I see more excitement in the future in which I collaborate with people, more than just keep on pushing the ball on my own, because there's a limit to what you can do with the amount of time that you have, and collaborating with people. Sometimes it allows you to do more ambitious stuff, of course. But it also may make you like it gives you motivation to keep going on even when you sometimes are in downtime, for example.
And collabs are just fun too. Like it like brings out like different sides of your work, or you kind of see things from a different perspective, and it's just, I don't know. Collabs are normally just a fun time, especially if you and the creator on the same the wavelength.
Yeah, well, that's what happens with the Metal Gear Rising stuff. My friend Cersei, she was like, "Oh, what if we made the breakdancing cat but with writing?" Because she was just getting into the Metal Gear Rising stuff. She hadn't played any other Metal Gear, and she was like, "Okay, breakdancing," and we put just Metal Gear Ray, and I was like, my mind exploded, because I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can make the mashup for your video, but what if we can get much higher, like." And that's when I was like, do you know that this is actual canon in MGS4, right? And actually break dances while fighting against robots. And that's what spurred the entire saga for it. And I just couldn't stop myself from just making all the other mashups. So yeah, definitely collaboration is that thing that keeps you going, even if you feel like if you feel a bit down, like in the creative sense, because there's some feedback. There's constantly people dialoguing and throwing out ideas. And as a matter of fact, I have an entire notepad filled with ideas that I would like to do before the Metal Gear Solid 1 assets get old. Like say like, I don't know. I expect people to just be like done with the meme aesthetic and just go to something else. But at the same time, it's so timeless that I think I got a little time to just put out all these other ideas that I have until they actually become stale or something.
MGS1 is definitely timeless enough to where you can just keep messing with that, and just keep messing with that and making fresh stuff.
It would be nice if my channel was not all about just making dumb videos with MGS1 models, but this could be a saga that could last a bunch of months. But I'll see what happens. I'll see what comes next.
It's awesome.
It's like a mystery. It's like unknown, but at the same time, it's the kind of unknown that makes you excited more than scared, or just simply, whatever. I'm so motivated. I could just start playing Devil May Cry again.
I can't wait to see what you come up with next. I mean, it's funny just seeing like the couple of extra little clips you've put up too, like since the live Z walk.
Yeah, those are residual ideas. Some of them are worse than the others.
Yeah,
but I hope that they will be fun. The rest of them, I mean.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, V? Or?
Well, I was gonna say that I was drinking mate.
Nice.
Because that's a thing that we drink here. So it was a very, very interesting moment when I played Peace Walker and I just saw Big Boss drinking mate. It's a very, very,
awesome.
very, very local thing to do. So yeah, I didn't find a moment to mention it before, but
I felt the same way when I saw him drinking Mountain Dew. I was like, hey, that's me.
But yeah, no, I guess I would not like to extend this too much more.
Yeah, if you want to tell people where they can find you online, and where people can find your stuff, you can go ahead with that.
Yeah, sure. In Twitter, you can find me as ParametricPalta, because ParametricAvocado was too long, so I had to shorten it up. It means the same, but it's just a mixture of languages now. And if I recall correctly, in YouTube, I am already ParametricAvocado. And there's a difference there, because I really wanted to push the ParametricAvocado name, but some socials just have a different one. So to sum up, you can find me in Twitter as ParametricPalta, and you can find me as ParametricAvocado in YouTube. And I'm also in Instagram as parametric.avocado for my more artsy side, basically, and parametric.memes, where I post the shittiest post. ever. In SoundCloud, you can find me as V3-Unleashed. And that's it. Yeah, I said it right. Finally.
Sweet.
One take. Nobody's gonna know.
Perfect.
They're gonna know.
The power of editing.
What a good plug. That was a seamless plug there.
Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
But this has been fun. The time has flown by. We had a bunch of stuff here on the notes too that we didn't even get to talk about. But
yeah, this was a packed week.
Yeah.
It's been a week for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was gonna be just me talking about my stuff until we got bored, and suddenly, bam!
Yeah,
Silent Hill, Code Red, yeah.
Silent Hill Code Red.
And a DEFCON 2,
Silent
and a DEFCON 1, and
No,
a
it's like
DEFCON 3. Yeah.
DEFCON. It was like DEFCON minus 3 with the amount of games that they announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a Silent Hill, it's a DEFCON 1 for sure. Not a Kojima DEFCON 1, but
And we get to do this all again tomorrow.
and we didn't see Hassan show up at the end of it.
Oh yeah. I wonder how he's feeling right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great talking with you
Yeah,
guys. You're like my heroes, but the kind of heroes that when you meet them, it's good, it's better instead of worse.
God, I hope so. No, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I learned a lot, and you're inspiring me to be a better memer. So, thank you.
Some also would be proud. Yeah, it feels great, really. Thanks for the feedback and the appreciation for my stuff.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah, absolutely.
I-
Thank you for coming on.
the feeling goes both ways, really.